What do we really know about the mental well-being of black students at UK universities? There's an increasing concern for the mental health and mental well-being of all university students in the UK from the start to the end of their university journey, beginning with these experiences from their entry application process to their teaching or academic experiences, campus life, and later to graduation and becoming a graduate. British and international students are exposed to a range of experiences which affect their mental health and well-being during this journey, including transition, for younger students mainly, as they find their way as individuals as they step into adulthood, separation from family, socialising and making new social connections, autonomy and increased responsibility, stress that is academic related, financial concerns, sleep disruption, work-life balance, and exposure to risky behaviour such as drugs and alcohol. For some students who begin university in early adulthood, this is usually the age for the start of mental health problems, and if this is left unsupported, can be related to things like substance abuse, self-harm, or thoughts of suicide. According to the Higher Education Statistics Agency, there are 2.4 million university students in the UK, so universities are potentially in a unique position to provide support in the way of prevention, intervention, or treatment during this challenging period for young adults who could potentially suffer from mental health and well-being problems whilst attending university in the UK. There is, however, a gap in our knowledge about the experiences that affect the mental health of black university students in the UK, in particular, where most research has mainly focused on attainment and progress between black and non-black students. When thinking about differences, UK black students are more likely than white students to report higher levels of engagement in university, but lower satisfaction, often resulting in them being less likely to complete the course. So, UK researchers at King's College London and University College London published a systematic review with thematic synthesis in early 2020 in the British Medical Journal, bringing together data from 12 studies. For more information on the review and synthesis, please see the lay quality checklist attached. They set out to answer the following question: what are the experiences that affect the mental health and well-being of black university students in the UK in the research literature? The review derived 7 themes of mental health and well-being of black students from the studies dated between 2010 and 2020. This included 11 published peer-reviewed studies, so these are studies that were reviewed by other experts in the field, and 1 unpublished study that contained themes from qualitative data from interviews, focus groups, personal reflections and notes of black students, as well as some other number-based quantitative data from rating scales completed by them. The review was mostly interested in articles that focused on 3 things: the mental health of black students at UK universities, studies that looked at both qualitative and quantitative data, and written only in English, so potentially a big problem if you think about it. The first author of this research read all 12 articles to familiarise with the content of each study, then reread them and started labelling lines or larger chunks of the text, and this was then imported into an Excel spreadsheet to derive firstly qualitative codes and later broader overarching themes. On completing this task, a secondary author of this research also looked at 6 of the studies, picked at random, read and reread them, and applied codes and themes in the same fashion. And the codes from both of them were then compared to ensure the themes were well rooted in the data. The pair also rated each of these studies as reasonable according to their overall quality, and so that all the data was included. The 7 themes derived from the 12 studies offered insights into Black students' beliefs or viewpoints and experiences based on the author's interpretations. These were learning environment, Black gendered experiences, isolation, alienation, culture shock, racism, and support. Learning environment. The learning environment, which captured the cathartic and liberating feelings of Black students attending lectures that involved equality and diversity and inclusion, resulted in positive mental health. But students also talked about their need to censor themselves to be seen by white students and staff as acceptable and agreeable instead of loud, disruptive or confrontational, which they believed would improve their learning, but came at the cost to their mental well-being. This was also a general feeling of a lack of relatedness to white lecturers and peers, where Black students felt Black people were racially stereotyped to have a lower intellect or badness, with racism expressed in the classroom, leading to them feeling excluded, frustrated, distressed, discouraged and unmotivated. They also felt their work was over-scrutinised and mental health support was inaccessible to them. Black gendered experiences. This revealed sexism and racism for Black men in particular, where a focus on hypermasculinity affected their mental health and studies, and they chose to cope with this distress on their own and study on their own. While for Black women, it was about comparing their bodies with their white peers. Isolation. This indicated that Black people acknowledged stigma of mental health from their own communities. And alienation. Students felt ignored and excluded in academic and social environments, with a lack of relatedness to their white peers and staff, and having to act and identify in a white image of their peers. Culture shock. Culture shock showed that international Black students had to adjust to the lifestyles of the UK, such as diet, weight, physical activity, sleep, alcohol and smoking. This led to stress and depression, loneliness and lack of confidence. The Black students who came from the UK experienced all of the above, but in particular insomnia and more stress. Racism. This highlighted that institutional racism and white privilege made universities toxic places. This affected Black students' sense of belonging and ability to socialise, interactions with peers, staff, academic achievements, and the graduation progress. Black students felt that support offered by universities were not suitable for Black students and felt unable to trust and be understood, and feared being judged or rejected at university. Finally, support. Support was about being treated differently because of their race. This affected the type of access and their views of mental health support. They felt they had to be positive and rely on the support of their family and friends. But for those Black and international students who suffered mental health and stigma, felt unsupported and unable to get the support needed until they were in crisis, and then faced long waiting lists. Black students believe that the universities failed them because they were institutionally racist and didn't take responsibility for this. This review outlines several themes of experiences that affect Black students' mental health and well-being whilst attending UK universities. It highlights that Black students' mental health and well-being may be deeply rooted in most institutional racism, which adversely affects their student life. Critical race theory in education experts have engaged with work against racism in higher education in the UK and have explored racial inequality, but they have failed to explore how mental health specifically plays a potentially important role in race inequality. And according to the Office of Students, Black students are being failed, and further research, particularly around mental health, language and literacy of Black students, will be important going forwards.